guys, what's up? What's good? What's poppin'? You're listening to Exactly Amara. Thank you so much for downloading and subscribing. I am so grateful to you guys. You guys have made this one of the littest podcasts out here right now, and it's thanks to you. Don't forget to rate us 5 stars. Share this podcast with your friend, your family, con el que te dé la gana. The important part is to share it. This show is going to be a little bit interesting because estos temas, these type of topics como que conectan conmigo. I don't know, como que I can connect to these topics because cheater, pumpkin eater, anything that has to do with monogamy and stuff like, relationships. I like all those topics because I feel like we're consistently, especially in this generation, trying to figure out what exactly is love, what exactly is being in a relationship, what exactly is staying together. How much shit are you supposed to put up with? What are you supposed to let go? How does this work? Are you supposed to be like in an open relationship because there's so many options thanks to technology? Should we be more loyal to each other? Are we still loyal to each other if we're open about being with other people? I don't know. This is confusing. Esto es demasiado. This is too much for me. I don't know what to do. Anyways, today, I am so grateful to bring an amazing guest. My guest today is a sex researcher. She's a speaker, a writer, and her name is Dr. Zhana. Okay, mi amor, que ella es muy fina. Zhana. Where is this name from? I love it.
It's from Macedonia.
From Macedonia. Mira, Zhana.
Mhm.
Como que sounds bougie. Zhana. What's your Zhana? I like it. Well, you know what? I'm curious to know what made you become a sex researcher?
I thought that sexuality was the most fascinating topic I could possibly study. I couldn't think of something that would keep my interest for the rest of my life when I was deciding what PhD topic to choose, obviously.
Does that make you a little
And
bit freaky? Is that what you're saying? Professionally?
at least a little bit.
Okay.
Like maybe a bit more than a bit
Okay.
freaky, but
Okay. I like that.
well, no, I was interested actually in, if you want to call them freaky, the more sort of uncommon or unusual expressions of sexuality. That's
Okay.
what I went to study. I wanted to study non-heterosexuality, so the people who are not completely straight, who have at least some interest in other genders. I wanted to study casual sex outside of the confines of a long-term romantic relationship. I wanted to study non-monogamy,
Uh-huh.
right? These pairings and relationships that are not exclusive sexually or romantically. I wanted to study kink. So all of these things that are kind of on the margins.
Fetishes and all that freaky stuff. I know.
Yeah, the stuff that it's the hush hush, but that are so much part of who we are,
Yes.
that make us the humans that we are. And what I was really curious about is, how do people who have these, I guess, less acceptable, more stigmatized, sometimes less common, although not always. Some of these things are not less common, like our desire for non-monogamy. That's a pretty common desire, but it's not an acceptable desire. And so my curiosity was always, how do people who have these desires that are on the margins of what society says is okay, how do we navigate our lives? How do we get our sexual needs met while existing in a society that says you shouldn't have those needs?
Well, because society basically tells us that we're supposed to be loyal to each other. And that loyalty means that it's supposed to be just you and me and you till the end of time. So basically, like if you're in a relationship, you're only supposed to stick it to me for the next, 60, 80 years. And we all know that's a damn lie. That is a damn lie. No sé. Does watching porn count as cheating?
For some people, that's something that everybody has to decide for themselves. There are so many of these behaviors that are kind of in the gray zone. And you ask on a survey, you ask a bunch of people, is watching porn cheating? And some people will say yes, and some people will say no. And there is no one right answer. Like every single person in a relationship needs to decide whether their partner watching porn.
Do you consider it to be cheating?
For myself, no, absolutely not.
Absolutely
no, I watch porn
not.
with my partner. I love watching porn with my partners. I love watching porn on my own. I know they're watching porn on their own. We share videos that we like.
I don't think watching porn is cheating. I think it's actually healthy to a certain extent. I'm going to tell you why. I feel that watching...
You can overdo it. You can definitely overdo it.
Exactamente. You can overdo it. You can also, by watching these porns, create this like fantasy, this fake concept of what sex is supposed to be, and that's not necessarily true. Let's When we watch these porns, let's also understand that they're getting paid for this. One, two, there's a whole camera crew in front of them. And have you ever been to a porn set?
I have friends who are porn
Bueno,
stars, yeah.
déjame darle, ¿cómo se dice? Advertisement to my girl. Shout outs to Angelina Castro. She's my friend, and at one point in time, a long time ago, she does porn, and she invited me to a set, and I went, and after I saw it, it's definitely not what people think. I know that in the moment while you're horny, you're looking at it and you're like, ah. Women put so much pressure on themselves trying to compete with these women that they see on these porns. Anyways, that's a whole different conversation.
But what you said is true, that watching porn can, especially if you don't have a lot of real life experience of what real sex looks like, what real human bodies look like and can do, you can, especially if you watch a lot of porn, then you can definitely build a fantasy and a set of expectations that can
De-
not really be
and
met
it
in
can
real life.
dehumanize you from your partner. Every relationship has their standards or limits, and they decide what's accepted and what is not, right?
Yeah. What I will say though is you can choose to be monogamous, right? You can choose to be with a relationship with someone that is completely sexually exclusive and romantically exclusive, so you don't have other partners. That doesn't mean some of these desires that humans have for other partners will just magically go away.
Yeah.
And so, if you then also restrict things like porn or masturbation, or maybe even things like flirting with others, kind of innocently flirting with
Yeah.
others, or being able to see and appreciate another person as a good looking person, if you expect your partner to really suppress all of that,
Yeah.
that might be too much for humans, because we can maybe not act on some of those desires. We can certainly say, I've committed to monogamy, therefore I'm not going to actually make out with someone else or have a relationship with someone else. But to not have those desires at all, we can't really have that.
Okay, so you gave great points right now. In order to be in I guess a healthy relationship, yeah, you can't like como que decirle a tu pareja, ay, you can't watch porn, you can't masturbate. Ding 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 ding. Question: is masturbating considered cheating?
Again, for some people it is. I've talked to people who have thought of it as cheating, who, when they found out their partners were masturbating, were really upset. Most people, I think, don't. And again, I would recommend, even if you have a lot of jealousy and it's really hard to hear about those things, it's okay, you don't have to share that necessarily with your partner, but accepting that they, unless they're very low on sex drive and very low on their need for sexual novelty, these traits exist in a continuum, just like anything, like extroversion or intelligence or whatever have you. It all exists on a continuum. Some people are really low. Some people are like very, very introverted, right? Some people are very, very extroverted. Most people are somewhere in the middle.
I remember I used to date this guy, ugh, trash. And he was so nice and everything, but when it came to like doing it, I used to be bored. So then, even if he was at the house, I would do myself. And then I kind of felt bad because I was like, damn, I have a whole piece of dick right here in the house. Am I not supposed to just, do it with him because I like him? We're together, da da da. And then I just felt more comfortable to be connected with myself. That can also become a problem. And talking about that before we get into the monogamy and cheating and all these things, I just want to hit a couple of points that are maybe considered cheating for some and not for others.
Before we go there, I
Mhm.
want to emphasize something that you just said. You were dating someone that you were not having good sex with, right?
Right. But I loved him. He was a great person, great personality. He had all the great characteristics. But when it came to the freaky part, como que, womp, womp, womp.
Okay, entonces, so my advice, if you want a monogamous relationship, if
Yes.
you want a long-term monogamous relationship,
Yes.
and sex is important to you, if those two things describe you,
Yes.
right? You or anyone there, you have to be with someone that you really want to fuck.
Oh my God. Es que
Up-
sometimes the ones
You
you want to
can,
fuck ain't got no job. And then the ones that you got a job, their dingling is whack. It's,
I
it's
know. Unfortunately,
hard.
it's hard to find, exactly, it's hard to find someone who meets all of these different needs. which is why if you want to be partnered
Yes.
with someone who you like for other reasons, but the sex is sort of okay or not great, then having a monogamous relationship is going to be really hard. That means you're never really going to get that like real sexual satisfaction that you want. So either you pair up with someone that you have an okay sex with, that everything else is great, and then you have some form of an open relationship. And there are many, many different forms that these open relationships can take that would work for you.
You said open relationship? What the hell does that mean?
Can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Break it down for the ones that don't know.
Okay, so open relationships can take a couple of different forms.
Okay.
There are a couple of the most common forms. Either you and your partner play together.
Okay, we play together.
So you may have a threesome every now and then, or a foursome every now and then.
Judgment-free zone. Judgment-free zone. You know that in my mind, I've always wanted to do an orgy in my mind. But okay, in the real life, I cannot.
¿Por qué no?
Porque, first of all, I'm a lady.
So wait, you said I wouldn't do it because I'm a lady. Do ladies not have orgies? Is that what you're
I'm
saying?
sure that there's a lot of ladies that have orgies. That's right. I just haven't met one yet.
I guess you have.
I need to meet one que me diga, mija, I had an orgy and there were like 20 of them. They all stabbed me with it in my ass, aquí en la nariz, in my ears, everywhere, and I loved it.
So that's a
And
gangbang. That's not an orgy. That's a gangbang.
Oh, as a gangbang.
Yes.
Ay, Dios mío. I can't forget that you're the professional one. You're the one that knows all that.
Orgy is usually when you have a mix of genders and
Okay.
a
And everybody does each other.
more even mix of gender. Not necessarily everyone does each other, but there's more of a mix in terms of the gender ratio. Whereas what you just described, like 20 guys and a woman, that would be a gangbang.
No. Okay, not a gangbang, not a gangbang. I would rather an orgy. Entonces, let me ask you this. Out of all the craziness and all the things that you have obviously learned, experienced, researched, and everything, what has been the biggest or weirdest discovery? Like, what has been something really weird that you actually found out in your studies?
Oh, Lord, there are a lot of different things. And once you study human sexuality for as long as I have, nothing really is weird because there's so many different interests that we have. But I want to go back to, because we didn't finish the previous question. You asked me to break down open relationships. And
yes,
you then went to the most extreme version of it. Orgies with 20 people, you know? So I want to bring us back to the most common version that people might experience or might experiment with, which is just one extra person. So usually like the biggest—
like a threesome.
Threesome, yeah. We know from research that the most common sexual fantasy that Americans have is a threesome.
But it's more, I'm guessing it's more popular because it's also seen, and I'm not trying to be like a whole super like extra feminist, but I know that it's also seen more acceptable to have two women and a man than two men and a woman. I'm guessing that's the most common one, right?
That's true. That's the most common one for men. So about something like 80-90% of men often will say a threesome with two women is appealing. And for women, it's more mixed. It's more of those women who say they are interested in a threesome. It can be 50-50 often in terms of which type, whether they would prefer two men and a woman or two women and a man. But so that's one version, is when you and your partner can play together with other people.
Okay.
The other version of a relationship is when you let each other play separately. So you go on dates or play dates or whatever separately, and then you share about
come
those
together
dates.
and
You share something with your partner about those dates. There's a third version of that, which is you go and see people separately and you don't really talk to each other about it.
Yeah, that would probably be me. Don't fucking tell me what you did to that other bitch. Because you know what? As a matter of fact, that's it. We're breaking up. It's over. I can't do it.
Oh, yeah? You won't be able to do it?
I don't know. I have two mixed emotions. Ladies, hit me up on Exactly Amara. Let me know how you feel, if you agree with me or not. But I have mixed emotions. One, I would love for you to tell me how it went, what you did, whatever, so that I feel like I'm connected and I was part of that experience and I don't feel like I'm left out. Two, I don't want to know, because then I feel like, what about if you like them more with her? Or what about, I don't know what was going on. I don't want to feel insecure about it. So maybe we had a free hall pass. We both went and did our freaky stuff. We come back and like it never happened. We're good. I think that also in a person like myself, okay, I know I'm a bad bitch, first of all, but I believe still that woman side of me, it can bring some sort of insecurity
Sure.
where it can make me feel like a lot of times lo que pasa es que it goes past the sexual part and then you're back at having sex with this person. What are the chances, la línea esa, that now it went from just sex to now I really actually like this person?
Mm. Yeah, that's a very valid concern. Very, very valid concern. And couples who decide to do this, to open up in some way, shape, or form, they, especially if they're being intentional about their relationships, they devise and talk about, okay, how are we going to make sure that whatever sexual things that happen don't turn into something more? Because when they turn into something more, then we're talking about polyamory. You can decide those things. Again, you can agree on those things with your partner, that you're not going to do that, that you're not going to develop these whatever these flings or kind of casual interactions, that you're not going to develop them into something more. And it's not always possible, but we humans
Mm-hmm.
do have some control over whether we feed a relationship or
Yes.
starve a relationship, right? So
Who
we
has more control, men or women?
I would probably say men do, because, and I'll tell you why, because they've been encouraged to do that a lot more over the last like 10,000 years of human history than women have. Women have been forbidden entirely from having any kind of sexual interactions outside of their husbands, whereas
Right.
men have often been allowed to have either sex workers on the side or mistresses on the side, concubines, in almost
Right.
every society for the last 10,000 years since agriculture happened. So the human species has had a very different history before agriculture. When we were
Mm-hmm.
nomads, when we were hunter gatherers, we were kind of roaming around, being mobile and not living in any one given place. And that was a
Mm-hmm.
very long period. There was millions of years, several millions of years, that we lived kind of like that. And then about 10,000, 12,000 years ago, agriculture happened. We started to live sedentary lives. The roles of men and women changed.
Mm-hmm.
Men became much more powerful than women, because during hunter gatherer times, men and women were a lot more equal
Right.
in terms of bringing home the bacon, if you will. Everybody brought home the bacon.
Do you think
And
that we're even now?
we're getting closer back to that, but we're not fully equal.
Okay.
So, but we're
Okay.
on the right track. And because we're on the right track is exactly why we're having this conversation right now. Because you need women to have freedom to pursue other partners as well as men in order for us to be having these kinds of conversations. Otherwise, women were believed to be asexual. I mean, there was a time just about 100, years ago in Victorian England, which then got transported into the US norms as
Mm-hmm.
well, where literally scientists believe that women are just not very sexual, that they were asexual beings. They just did sex for their husband's pleasure because we were so
Well,
suppressed.
to be honest, there is a certain extent of that. And I don't, oh my God. You know that here in Exactly Amara, I'm an open book and I tell you everything, whether it sounds good or bad. But I thought for 2 seconds that I too was asexual. And I'm gonna say it in this perspective, only because I also think it's a cultural thing. I don't know if you've ever heard this, pero como buena latina, mi mamá siempre me ha dicho a mí, cuando tú tienes un marido, when you're with a man, you have to please him. Y aunque you're upset if you're happy, you're upset or whatever, you still gotta lay there and spread it. Because if you don't do it, se va a ir para, tú sabes, se va para la calle, se va para otro lado. So no matter what, the food must be on the table and the food must also be in the bed. Sometimes just because you have to please your spouse, your partner, it doesn't always mean that you're horny, that you want it, that you
Absolutely.
whatever. A lot of times, just because your dingling is hard and you're ready to go, doesn't mean that I'm ready the same way. Women need to be estimulada. They have to be como que mareame, like, seduce me, esto, kiss me, slap my ass, do something. But a lot of times, I also feel that the fact that we don't have good sexual communication affects women a lot sexually, and it also makes you feel like you don't have a sexual drive, which you might have. It's just that your partner may not be doing it properly. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. And on average, when you look at that spectrum that I talked about and the sex drive and this bell curve in which it's distributed, it's both
Mhm.
like that for men and women, just for men is a little higher than for women on average. But in addition to that, you're right that women often need a bit more stimulation. And they also, what we're learning now more and more, women's sex drive needs a bit more novelty, needs to be men's sex drive seems to be kind of more steady and
Okay.
less susceptible to external factors. Like it's going to
Okay.
be there no matter what. Whereas for
Right.
women, it's like give me something good to get aroused by.
Yeah, like
And
money.
that can work. Or
No, no, no.
something actually,
Okay, okay, okay. No, no, no.
or
Oh, no, give me something. Limpia la casa, wash the car, comprame un carro, buy me a Chanel. Things change. Physical things change. Physical attractions change. People mature. People change. The vision that they had of the things that used to be attractive to them may no longer be attractive. People grow, and I think that's another thing that we also have to be understanding when it comes to being in a relationship with someone. You have to be able to grow with that person, and understand that things will change. You can't continue to look at this person like the way that you met them 1,000 years ago. La gente cambia. And you know what? Before, because I know that our time is limited and I can talk about this all day, I want to talk about something really important. Especially now in 2022. Let's talk about cheating. Let's talk about cheaters. Based off your research, why do you think people cheat?
people cheat for a lot of different reasons, but ultimately it boils down to two. Either they're not really happy in their relationship, sort of not getting what they need, and that could be something sexual that they're not getting, or it could be
Okay.
something more emotional that they're not getting,
Okay.
and they're seeking it elsewhere. Or they just need something novel and different,
Exciting.
on
They like the
exciting,
adventure, the
adventurous.
hunt.
Exactly, on the
Okay.
side. So they're happy with the relationship and they don't want to end it in any way, but they just need this little bit of extra excitement and
And
adventure.
excitement. I
Mhm,
understand for the most part, a lot of men feel that they need a little bit of excitement. They don't want to leave la mujer de su casa. They
yeah,
don't want to leave, their main chick. They just want some excitement, something different. It's like if you have rice and beans every day, one day you want to eat something else.
mhm.
My thing
Es
is,
lo mismo
if
por las mujeres.
exactamente. And I was about to say that my thing comes into like, okay, you need some adventure. Can I have some adventure too?
Yes,
Because that's what happens. Men come out here and they cheat and they do all of this. Y tú le pones un cuernito, one little cheat. Oh, the world's gonna fall
that
apart.
that's the
Bitch,
problem. So that
you're a
you hit
slut. You're a whore. You cheated on me. But in the meantime, you've already stuck your dingling to like half the neighborhood.
you hit the nail on the head, girl. That's exactly the issue, that because we've had this whole history, but you also have to understand, put it in this historical perspective, right? We literally have 12,000 years of cultural consciousness and evolution and history and baggage where men did get to have their cake and eat it too. They get, because look, we all as humans, not all, there are some differences, not every single one, but most of us have a strong desire and need to pair bond, to form these deep, long lasting, committed, loving, caring, trusting, dependable relationships with other people. That has helped us survive. Evolutionarily, that was very useful to have another person who is strongly bonded with you, and especially if you were having babies to help you raise those kids. And
Oh
you
no, girl, because
also,
I'm doing mine by myself.
well,
Yeah, I did the bonding, entonces now I gotta raise it on my own. But I hear you.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, for a lot of people, it doesn't work out that way. But that has, generally speaking, helped
Right.
humans, right? So we have the strong need to bond. At the same time, we also have, and distributed in this bell curve, this need for variety and adventure and excitement and risk. And so we have these dual needs inside. Now, men, for the last 12,000 years, have been able to get both of their itches scratched. they got to marry and have the stability and the family and all that, and they got to have their concubines and mistresses and all that. Women
Right.
didn't really. I mean, women still get stoned to death in parts of the
Yeah.
world if they've
Yeah.
cheated. Literally stoned to death, buried to their necks, and then stoned to death. And
Yeah.
so
So unfortunate.
we still carry that baggage. Men and women
Yeah.
still carry that baggage. And so I think the challenge of the 21st century, and especially I think now that we're coming into this, I think this year is special after the pandemic. I think the pandemic really made a lot of things clear for a lot of people. And I think the challenge will be for men to start applying a single standard.
That's right. I agree with you 1,000%. If men are okay with sticking their dingaling, a lot of times they don't even use condoms. Guys, use condoms. Protect yourself. It's crazy out here in these streets. I know a lot of beautiful women que están podrida por dentro. Mira, cover it, wrap it up. If you can't find a condom, you better use at least a garbage bag. Don't come out here
Don't use the
sticking it
garbage bag.
get a garbage bag, stretch it out, and wrap it up like they used to do back in the days. So, ¿me entiendes? It's tough out here in these streets. Pero the point is, don't be sticking it anywhere. Entonces, the girl in your house, you come stick it to her y le da una vaina. Don't do that. And the same thing goes for women. Women, protect yourself. I feel like lo que está bien para uno está bien para el otro. You guys go out here and you have sex with women, women should have the ability to do the same thing if they so choose to. I personally am not necessarily good at that. If you are that girl that you're cool with having different sexual partners, amen, do you, be free, live your best life. It's 2022. Now the question is, can you forgive a cheater? Can you forgive someone that has cheated on you?
So my definition of cheating would be doing something that your partner specifically has asked you not to do, or there is an understanding that that would be considered cheating. And that
Right.
can, as we talked about, that can vary. For someone, that could be masturbation. For someone in an open, you can still cheat in an open relationship because open relationships have rules and agreements. And if you break one of those rules and agreements, that would be considered cheating. Like if I said, I don't know, don't have sex with my best friend, and my boyfriend had sex with my best friend, then that would be considered cheating, even though it's okay for him to have sex with many other women, right? So yeah, that's how I would define it. But can you forgive? Again, you're gonna have to decide. It depends. There are people who forgive cheating. There are people who absolutely do not forgive cheating. I work with a lot of clients. I have a lot of couples who have recovered from an episode of cheating or even a long love affair, have understood kind of where it came from, what caused it, how can we change something in our own relationship, in our own marriage, so that that kind of stuff does not happen again. For some people, they've resolved that by opening up. For some people, they've resolved it by changing something about how they do their own sex life.
Yeah, there's many ways you can try to go around it, basically.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
we have different expectations of what is sort of forgivable or not forgivable. I'd be curious to hear your audience and what percentage
Yes.
of them would forgive
I
cheating
want to
and
know,
what
because
not.
let me tell you something. If you're my man and I put in all this work to have you to get, and I build you up like a build a bear, okay? If I build you up, you think I'm gonna leave you so that other bitch can have you? Hell nah. So with that being said, I also believe que también back in the days, our great grandparents and our ancestors used to have these like long ass relationships for many, many years. Every person that you talk to that has had a long marriage will always tell you you have to be patient. Te tiene que hacer la loca, te tiene que hacer la ciega. You got to pretend like you don't see certain things, you don't hear certain things, and you have to move on through certain things, right? If you leave someone every time that they cheat on you, or every time, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to have standards. I'm just saying, is it possible for us to work things out? How bad was it? Like if you've been with me and you have like a whole 5-year relationship with someone else and you have a whole family on the set and everything, okay, it's a wrap.
That's a
But
different thing, right?
that's a different thing. But how bad was it? Can we recoup from it? Is there something that I can do to fix it? Can you do something to fix it? Like,
Right.
I think that these days we're so quick to end relationships and end things. We no longer work things out. But this conversation has been so good. Okay, I really feel like we need a part 2 to this. Don't you feel?
Yes, absolutely.
There's so many things to talk about. We definitely need a part 2.
That's a great point that you made, that we end relationships way too quickly. And it's too bad. Like, some relationships are good relationships worth keeping. As you said, if you
Yeah.
invest a lot, and this is generally speaking a good relationship, and your partner was, I don't know, on a business trip and they hooked up with someone and it doesn't mean anything and it's not going to affect how they feel about you or how they feel about the relationship, like, is that really a good reason to end a good 7, 10, 15 year marriage? I don't know. In many
I
cases,
don't think so.
I don't think so. Exactly.
Just
And
hack his phone,
no,
put a GPS in his car. You know what? That's it. I'm getting divorced already. I'm so sick of him and I don't even know who he is because I ain't got no man. But let me tell you this. We need to do a part 2. This is too good. Where can people get in contact with you if they want to ask you any questions or any researches or anything like that?
please connect with me on Instagram at Dr. Zhana. That's DRZHANA. Same on Twitter as well. And that's my website too, drjana.com, DRZHANA.com. And for people who might be curious about exploring opening up, I have an online course called Open Smarter that they can take that kind of guides them through how to do this the smart way and not the dumb way.
Guys, this episode has been so good. If you have any questions, if you want to know anything for the part 2 of this conversation, go to Exactly Amara on YouTube and on Instagram and ask whatever questions. I am literally going to go there and read everything that you have. And I'll be asking, and you'll hear it here on the podcast for sure. Thank you so much. Thanks to every single person that has been joining us week by week. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember to follow Exactly Amara and my Cultura podcast on Instagram. You can also watch us on YouTube. Like I always say, just go to the search bar and write Exactly Amara. And remember that this has been a production of iHeart Radio's My Cultura Podcast Network. For more information and for more podcasts from iHeart, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite show. Like Exactly Amara, ya tú sabes. Anyways, we will see you guys next Thursday. Gang, gang, gang.